everybody. So I kind of wanted to go over something that I kind of had wished I had known when Kason was a baby, and that is what toys that he really utilized as an infant. And this is really probably from the time he was a newborn to, I'd say, 6 months. And some of these toys he uses still today. He just absolutely loves them. So the first thing that he really loved was a mirror. So I bought this one just at Walmart. It's a cheap little handheld mirror. And I hung it by his changing table because he loved when we'd go to the doctor and he'd be on the little exam table and they had the mirror for him to look into. And even to this day, I put it by his play area in his room. That way when he's on the floor playing, he can still see the mirror and he still really enjoys that. The next thing is something my mom actually bought him when he hit probably about 2 to 3 months. He just really started wanting to chew on everything. So she bought him one of these little teething blankets. It has the plastic on the sides and it has these little ribbons. And he has another one that just has ribbons around the edge, not the plastic pieces. But this was a lifesaver because I could throw this into the car seat with him and he would just sit there and chew and chew and chew. The next thing is another item that I used all the time in the car seat. It's another teether. Has a big teething ring here, the little plastic pieces, but it also crinkles. It's a little penguin, and his auntie got this for him. He loves it. We actually had 2 of them because he always wanted to play with it on the floor, and then we had one that we kept in his diaper bag / car seat so we could use it on the go all the time and not have to remember to take it out. The next item is something that's super cheap and easy. It's just a little plastic rattle with thin little ribbons so he could grab onto it and shake it. He loves making anything with noise. Now that he's a little bit older, he actually has a rainmaker and maracas that he uses, but it's the same concept, and for a little guy, this is perfect. The next item is, again, teethers. So he absolutely hated the ones that I had always known growing up, and that's the ones where you like stick them in the freezer and they get cold and he can chew on them. He hated them. He didn't want them. He still doesn't want anything to do with them. So this is like a 3-step system teething set, and they show on the actual box which one is used for each thing, but he loves all of them. He will use every single one. I think this one's made more for the front teeth, and this one's made more for like the side teeth, and then this one's for the back. But they're just, these 2 first ones are little jelly teethers, and he loves them. This one's a little bit of a harder plastic, but it's still flexible. And these things were a lifesaver, especially once he started cutting teeth and you could actually see them just growing in through the gums. It was a miracle worker. So the next thing, these are the only 2 that I could find on hand. We keep them in his car seat, we keep one in the diaper bag, and we keep some on the stroller. But these are the 2 between the living room and his bedroom that we keep out for him to have on the floor. I attached one of those little like binky holders to it because they come with these little circles for you to attach it. And so I would just clip it onto him. But these are little silicone tool set, and they have little bumps on them and texture so he can chew on them and it feels good on his teeth. This was another thing that was super easy because it did have it where you could put the binky holder on it. I'd clip it to him. He always had it. Sorry, my dog's running around. He always had it with him, and it was a lifesaver. Okay, so these next 2 things he uses all the time. One he's kind of grown, I wouldn't say out of, but he tends to favor other stuff more. So the first one is this little ring stacking toy, and there's more rings somewhere. but they're probably, to be honest, underneath the couch because our robot vacuum like pushes around his toys. But it comes with this little ring. Each ring has a different texture on it. And now that he's a little bit older, he actually understands the taking on and off. Taking off probably came around 6 months. Putting on has been probably 10 months and on that he started using these. But they each have their own little texture. And this one has little rings that he can shake. He loves this. He uses it all the time. Even to this day, he still... You're talking about it. He still plays with this constantly. The next one is stacking cups. So I just bought a cheap, or actually I think I put it on my registry and someone had gotten it for us. Bought a cheap set of these and he uses them all the time. So when we go on a trip, I pack these with me because it's easy for him to play in the floor, but it's also easy for me to put 2 in the bathtub with him, and he can sit there and he knows how to pour out water. He can chew on them. He can take them and clink them together. And really what we work on with these as he's gotten older is actually using them to stack on top of one another. And he learns that, and then when I get him all stacked up, or he helps with it and it falls over, we go, uh-oh, and he loves it. He knows to wait until the building's like built up, which cracks me up because he's so patient with it. And then he waits until every last one is stacked, and then he'll knock it over. The other thing that you can teach him with it is go out and in. And that's another one. He can put these together by himself. And another thing that we do with him all the time is takes them and he has them in his hand and we learn how to hit them together. Yeah, he's over there looking at me like, why are you playing with my toys? So this is one that when he was younger he played with, even though he didn't necessarily understand it as much. But he's almost a year old and still plays with these every single time I lay him on the floor. The next thing is something he's kind of grown from. This is one of those balls that has the big holes in it, so he can grab onto it with his little hands. Before he had really good coordination. Has a shaker in it. He can shake it. He can chew on these little sides, and it has these little discs that can move. So he still uses this, don't get me wrong, but he also has regular balls that go with like his basketball set and stuff like that. And he's old enough now to realize how to roll them back and forth, where this one doesn't necessarily roll because of the eyes on the frog and the little side pieces. So he still uses this. He still likes to shake it. He still likes to play with it, but he does use the other balls for moving stuff. The last one is actually out of batteries and I need to replace them, but I have 10 million other things that I'm trying to get done right before his birthday, so it just hasn't happened yet. But our neighbor actually got us this, and it's a peekaboo elephant, and so it sings to him and its little ears come down and move like this. And when it sings to him and talks with him, he absolutely loves it. You can hear him hollering over there because I'm messing with it. But this has tremendously helped with tummy time because he wants to look up at it, or as we're working on pulling and standing up with him trying to get to it. This is awesome because I can press the button, it keeps talking and going, and it keeps his attention to do those. So as a baby, and I would say up to 6 months, these are the main things we had for him. He does have a couple of other toys that he used intermittently, but these were his absolute favorites we had to have with us all the time.